Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I wanted to talk about 15 examples of low frustration tolerance today because I think these behaviors kind of go unnoticed and not talked about enough. They are such like solid everyday habits in our daily life that we don't see them as compulsive behaviors or we don't see them as avoidance behaviors. We just see them as regular habits. So before I go on, please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video, comment underneath, recommend some topics what you think we should cover on the channel. So the first one that I really want to talk about is, I have my notes here, not staying away from your phone for more than 5 minutes. And that is a massive thing, not just for OCD sufferers, but I think that's a massive thing for in our like time and age currently everywhere. People cannot stay away from their phone. They constantly want to check if they have notifications. A notification on your phone kind of gives you that dopamine hit that, ooh, there's something to check, there's something to see. Notifications make you like excited and you want to really respond to them immediately. So especially if you are an OCD sufferer and you have a lot of compulsions related to social media in general as well, this is 100% a big one for you, because being on your phone kind of puts your brain on autopilot, and we kind of like that because it kind of suspends active deliberate thinking. It's just like our brain automatically doing its work on its own, and we kind of want to go into that comfortable space of not like having to think about difficult things and stuff like that. So if you put your phone away for like 30 minutes, put it on silent and put it in a drawer or something, you will probably feel quite agitated, and that is a sign that you have low frustration tolerance. So go ahead and try and see how that feels. Number two is not being able to read a book, and this is important because especially people who come in for coaching with us, they often do not read the books because they feel like, oh, I couldn't concentrate on it, I couldn't pay attention, I just read 5 pages, it didn't make sense. So I don't know, it kind of just doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's making sense to me or it applies to me. I don't know, it was this, it was that. And or people would say, I'm not really a book reader, so I find it difficult to read the books. And that again is a sign of low frustration tolerance, because just sitting with the book for like 15-20 minutes without doing anything else and without distracting yourself with anything else kind of feels a lot. It kind of feels overwhelming. And a lot of people resort to audiobooks these days, especially when you're driving and stuff like that. It's very easy to listen to things. And again, that's a very passive way of absorbing information. We are now so used to watching visual content and just hearing things without making the effort to read information ourselves or collect information ourselves. So reading is 100% important. Reading the books, the physical copies, is immensely important because it kind of helps, again, concentrate better, make notes, highlight important points, stuff like that. Not in a compulsive way, but it kind of helps absorb the information better rather than just listening to it in audio, because you kind of skip important bits with that. So but yeah, but any book really, if you just sit down and start reading a book, you'll probably get frustrated quite quickly, because it's not like a quick, absorption of information. Not writing by hand, and this is again something which is part of our day and age these days, because every single thing is digital, every single thing is typed out, and nobody wants to write by hand. It feels very boring. It feels very cumbersome. It feels very arduous to actually sit down and write things by hand. But again, if you start doing it, it would help increase your frustration tolerance, because you're not getting that quick result of like, okay, just immediately type something out, or like speech to text kind of thing. No, don't do that. Do it by hand and see where that takes you. And generally, like if you have to write something out, try doing it by hand. See how that feels. But 100% it is a low frustration tolerance activity these days. When you're on the road, honking your horn or flickering the lights to someone in front of you because you want them to give you the way, or you want them to drive faster. And that's again that impatience of like, why am I on the road for this long? I need to just get to my destination quickly. So you'll do anything and everything to get there as fast as possible. Giving up any task very quickly just because you're not the best at it in the first one or two tries. And again, I was there as well. anything that you start to try to learn, whether it's a new skill or whether it's a new course that you're doing or anything that you're doing, you immediately give it up because you want to be the best at it in the first go. You don't want to spend the time to practice it and hone your skill, or or really give it like a few tries to get the task done. So and that's why a lot of tasks and a lot of self development or professional development or any kind of development that you're trying to work on, that gets stunted because you feel like spending the time to really do it is just like, oh, who wants to do that? um, Number six, building things by hand. So, these do it yourself kind of things where you'll get pieces of furniture, for example, that you have to assemble yourself. You might not want to do that because it's like, who the hell wants to do that when you can just order a table online and it'll just get delivered, made, and everything. You don't have to assemble anything yourself. So, again, that's something that really frustrates you because it's like, oh, I'll have to figure it out, I'll have to read the manual, and just like thinking about it overwhelms you. So again, a good exercise in increasing your frustration tolerance. Is linked to this of what I just mentioned is also like paying your way to get everything done, because these days especially, I think, I'm not saying that in itself like these services existing is a bad thing, but we also have to look at how they are hindering us in terms of not making the effort anymore, and not being used to like put ourselves to work. So you can literally pay to get anything done, even if it's assembling furniture or something like literally anything else. It's very easy to just pay a little fee and be like, okay, somebody else does it for me, I don't want to do it. So that's another low frustration thing. Filling out paperwork and documentation, I hated doing that. I really hated doing that. I would delay it so much. I would put it off, I would procrastinate, I would just hate filling out documentation because it would be like, oh my god, I have to look up like my identity number and identification number. I have to look up this, I have to look up that. I have to really think and sit, and this is so boring and not entertaining. I need to at least do it with music in the background so that I stay upbeat and engaged with the task. So again, and that's something that people procrastinate on a lot. So don't do that. Try to start filling it out, see where it takes you. And to be honest, like when I stopped procrastinating, and when I started to put myself to the task whenever it needed to be done, it kind of like becomes a habit. I still don't enjoy filling out documentation or paperwork, but now I'm kind of more used to it, and it just feels like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I mean, I don't feel like doing it, but let's just get it done with. So it's a lot of these things are habit formation as well. So you really have to put yourself to the task and do them repeatedly to eventually get the hang of them and get used to that frustration. Spending time with children. This again, I used to really avoid being around little kids, which is saying something because I also, at one point, I was teaching grade 2 as well, which was a lot. But the reason that it's, and not related to POCD because that is obviously a theme in itself, but generally as well, a lot of people don't like being around children because it's very hard for your environment to be in control when you're around children. Because I feel like little kids are like the epitome of being out of control, and things not being in your control. So you don't like that. You really are frustrated with sometimes not being able to make conversation with them. Again, by you, I mean me. This was me. I'm giving an example. Maybe somebody else relates to this as well. You mostly want to spend time with adults because it's just like I can't with children, right? So again, low frustration tolerance. Spend time with kids. Get annoyed, get frustrated with their constant questioning. Not feeling completely heard or understood. This was for me there in a subtle way, but I've seen this with a lot of anxious people around me in life as well, where if they're talking to the other person and the other person seems distracted by something, or the other person is looking at their phone or just looking here and there, or maybe eating their food or something, you might feel like this person is not paying me full attention, or they're not listening to every single word I'm saying, and it doesn't give you that satisfactory feeling of the other person hearing you or fully understanding you. So you either talk more loudly, or you get angry, or you repeat things over and over again, or you're like, are you listening, are you getting this? So that can be like go with like just telling the other person what you want to say, and even if they don't get it, go with the uncertainty with that. Don't repeat yourself on that. But again, the low frustration tolerance thing, because it comes from, I get super annoyed and I can't stand if people don't fully listen to me and if I'm not fully heard. um not taking up too many responsibilities at work. Again, this was another thing for me. Not even with work, but even just like day-to-day activities as well. I covered this in my video on fear and fear of being burnt out, because I just didn't want too many things on my plate in one single day. So I would just keep my day very minimal, very small, very easy, so that, because I felt like if I take on too much, I won't be able to handle it, and by the end of the day I would be completely, sapped. So that's again a subtle avoidance compulsion over there as well, which is not to say that you have to overburden yourself, but also not like avoid tasks like it's a disease. um, not learning any new skill or feeling overwhelmed very quickly. Again, whether it comes to wanting to learn a language, and this happens with people, like they want to learn a skill when they're younger, but then they're hit with OCD. So for many, many years, they put off like doing that because it's like, oh my God, it's going to be too much. And only when they start working on recovery, they start to rediscover certain hobbies and certain passions that they had earlier. So again, try to still incorporate those things in your daily life. Try to still do it even if it feels a lot. I started to learn a couple of languages during COVID, as many people did, which initially was like, oh my God, this is too much, but the more I did it, the more I started to actually enjoy it as well, even if it was difficult at many points. um, Journaling and grounding yourself constantly, this is a big one, because a lot of people, again, it goes hand in hand with fear and fear of being burnt out as well, very well. It's that thing of like, I need to journal my thoughts every single day. I need me time every single day. I need to decompress every single day. I need to watch something nice and fluffy by the end of the day, just to unwind. I can't go to sleep without feeling nice and good and happy and comfortable and relieved. So that kind of constant needing to center yourself and center your thoughts and finding your space is also like a low frustration thing, because the minute something challenging happens in your life, you immediately run to like, okay, I need to go into my space to recharge. So yeah, again, low frustration tolerance. I feel like by the end of this video, I'll be just caught up in my own tongue. Limiting your time, socializing, and cutting Hangouts short. That again was a big one for me. If Hangouts went past like, I don't know, 2 hours or something, I'd be like, okay, guys, I have to head out, and I'd lie about something like, no, I have to do this or that and stuff like that. Or like before Hangout began, I'd be like, oh, I can just come for an hour and a half. I can't hang out for too long, because I would just start getting really stressed out and just feeling like my social energy was being drained, and I just wanted to be home and again spend me time and just center myself and be with my thoughts. And the last one I want to mention is Googling, which again 100% comes from low frustration tolerance, because the minute you feel uncomfortable, you're like, okay, how can I look this up? That counts as a phone social media compulsion as well. Because you immediately want an answer, you immediately want a quick fix, you want immediate certainty or control over something. You don't want to sit with any kind of discomfort, and Googling is like, I'm going to try it, I'm going to find a fix for this, I'm going to immediately get out of the spiral. So Googling is 100% a low frustration tolerance thing, and because it's just in your hand, you just have to like make a few taps with your fingers. It seems very easy, it seems very doable, but and that's why you keep doing it. But cutting it out and not Googling and staying accountable to yourself for that is 100% key. And I'm sure if many of you are doing that, not doing it is going to make you quite uncomfortable. So these were just some like these are small examples of low frustration tolerance behaviors that we do on a daily basis. And the reason I wanted to, and there are plenty more. I mean, I can sit here and talk about 20 more probably. The other one I was thinking of was also like readjusting your clothes or your undergarments constantly, so that they feel just right, like your socks, your underwear, your vest, or your t-shirt, just to feel like the collar is just right or something, or your glasses if you wear them, or your hair constantly. That these are also low frustration tolerance things, because you want that just right feeling, that just satisfactory feeling to feel okay in yourself. So, but I just want to give these as examples to give as a guiding map maybe, and give you more clues as to what other frustration tolerance behaviors are you doing, and how can you change those to increase that frustration tolerance. Because if you increase that, it really helps build your ability to withstand distress and anxiety and fear as well, and therefore your ability to deal with triggers also improves. um, so I hope you found this helpful. I want to do some of these other like short videos like this as well. If you found this helpful, let me know. I'm going to be back soon. First time I'm doing a 15-minute video in a very long time. I'm very happy with this. I'm going to try to be shorter in the next one as well. Take care. Bye.